First things first, you're going to want to decide what style of AR-15 you want to go with. Now the two main ones you're going to see is a 20-inch barrel with a fixed stock and a 16-inch barrel with a 6-position collapsible stock. They both have different purposes. For example, if I'm going to be sitting in a deer stand and I know for sure I'm not going to be doing any walking at all except to claim my game, I'm going to go with this one. With this one, you'll sacrifice some of the feet per second, but the mobility, because you have a shorter barrel and you can collapse the stock in, it's a little bit smaller, so if you're going on a drive, you can tuck it in closer. It's going to be less likely to snag on things. Next thing that you're going to look at, and you can change those stocks back and forth, is your upper receiver. These are all flat tops. Unfortunately, I don't have an A2 to show you, but you got your A3s and your A2s. Your A2s, this carrying handle will be fixed. You will see a wider loop, and the receiver will be slightly lighter. Your hand will actually be able to fit in it, and the A3s, they don't quite fit. Your lower receivers, the two main ones you're going to see is your high shelf and your low shelf. What the difference is, on a low shelf, you'll see the shelf goes slightly lower than your selector lever. This will allow you to put an Ackie wedge in there and tighten up the wiggle between the upper and lower, or if they ever lift the 86 band, you can put in a drop-in auto sear. Your high shelf goes above that. You will not be able to put an Ackie wedge in here, and you will not ever be able to drop an auto sear in here. There's three different types of lower receivers too. You got your polymer, your milled, and your forged. The milled is fatter and it weighs more. Some people like the way it looks though. The polymer, I've only had experience with two of them. Both of them failed epically. A Bushmaster one, the rail on top, the guy took a spill. He broke off the rail where the sights mount to. And an ATI, it cracked where the buffer tube screws in. My personal favorite is a forged lower receiver and upper receiver. They're just skinnier, and to me they look better. They're more aesthetically pleasing. On your stock, you'll have a castle nut. You want to make sure to stake that into place, so otherwise this will work loose. If it's not staked into place from the factory, not that big of a deal. You can do that yourself. Your bolt carriers, your two different ones you're going to see is your M16 style and your AR-15 style. You can identify these by how far back it's cut. Ideally, you want an M16 style bolt carrier. It's just a little bit heavier, so you are going to pay for that in weight. But if they ever lift the 86 band, you will need this. Also with your bolt carriers, you're going to see your chrome lined, and then your non-chrome lined. But chromium reflects heat, and it's way more durable. So that's another thing you want to look at, is the carrier chrome lined. Also, are these bolts staked in? What you're looking for is this dimple right here. If it's not staked in, they probably took other shortcuts. I would generally avoid that rifle. Barrels is your next one. There's three different twist rates you're probably going to run into. A 1.7, a 1.8, and a 1.9. What that means is how quickly the bullet makes a revolution. So in a 1.7, every 7 inches the bullet turns once. 1.8, every 8 inches the bullet turns once. 1.9, so on and so forth. Your 1.7, that's going to stabilize really heavy bullets. But you're pretty much limited to a 77 grain bullet in your magazine, otherwise it just gets too long and it's probably not going to fit in there. So 1.7, you can run that if you want. It's also more of an aggressive rifling, so it's going to wear on your barrel a little bit more. I'd pretty much stick with like a 1.8 or a 1.9. You will run into three different styles of gas systems. You got a rifle length, a carbine length, and a mid length. You also got a pistol length. Unfortunately, I don't have a pistol length or a mid length here to show you. But basically, if you want to use a bayonet, on a 16-inch barrel, you're going to have to go with a mid-length gas system. Otherwise, there's just too much space there, and your bayonet won't lock on right. And with a 20-inch barrel, you got to go the rifle length gas system to make your bayonet fit on there. Another thing to watch for on your AR-15s is movement between your upper and lower. That one has a lot of movement. This one has none. That will key you into the quality of the rifle. On your stocks, there's two different types of buffer tubes. There's mil-spec and there's commercial. The only advantage or disadvantage between the two is the mil-spec buffer tube. It's way easier to find different stocks for. Commercial, though, will work fine. You pretty much just have to order a stock offline if you decide to get one. Magazines, you can get them in aluminum, stainless steel, or plastic. One thing you're going to want to make sure it has is an anti-tilt carrier or follower. Basically just push in the front. If the front tilts down but the back does not go down, that does not have an anti-tilt follower. Avoid that magazine, unless of course you're doing a retro build and you're looking for a waffle mag. But basically, without an anti-tilt follower, when the bolt comes in, you can have it tilt forward and then your round get jammed in the mag or jammed in the bottom. Also look for M4 cutouts. What that is these two cuts right here and right here. It helps the round feed in. Pretty much if you're buying a newer AR-15, it's going to have M4 cutouts. If it does not, it's probably keying you into the quality of the rifle. Unfortunately, I don't believe I have an upper here without M4 cutouts. Like I said, they pretty much all have them now. But make sure they do. If you order a plastic mag, there's a lot of manufacturers. You know, same thing, make sure it's got an anti-tilt follower. But if you want to play it safe, just go with a name brand one, like your P-Mags, Troy Industry Mags, one of those, because then you'll know it's good and you know you're not going to go like this and it's going to break in half. Between stainless steel and aluminum, I prefer the stainless steel ones. They are a bit heavier, but they're just more sturdier. There's not as much flex when you squeeze it. But I really don't think that's that big of a deal. Also, chrome lined barrels. You're going to see two different types usually. I mean, you can get into stainless and stuff like that, but typically on your rack, it's either going to be chrome lined or it's going to be nitrated of some kind. Myself, on an AR-15, unless I'm doing like some sort of precision rifle, I'm going chrome lined. It's more durable. Like I said, everything with the carrier. There's nothing wrong with nitrating though, but be aware of the manufacturer. A lot of them hide crappy barrels just by saying it's nitrated, and everyone assumes that if it's nitrated, it's good. The next thing, does it have a flash hider or a muzzle brake? This is what your flash hider looks like. Basically how to tell the difference is if there's something to stop the gas from going forward. Because when you shoot this gun, the barrel, it's like a rocket ship. Yeah, you will get some recoil from the round going off, but most of the pushback you'll get is from all the gases exiting the barrel and pushing, giving you thrust. With an AR-15, it doesn't really matter to me if it's got a muzzle brake on there or a flash hider. I almost kind of prefer a flash hider because when you put a muzzle brake on there, it makes it insanely loud. But you will see a significant drop in recoil. So say you're building a competition gun or, you know, something that's all modded out, you know, a muzzle brake might not be a bad idea. That's something you're also going to want to check out and see what it's equipped with. Handguards. Underneath your handguard, well, underneath most handguards, if I can get one of these apart, you're going to see a metal heat shield. Your barrel actually heats up very, very fast. Myself, I prefer to have the heat shield even though it weighs a little bit more. Just to help to protect the plastic. If it's missing the heat shield, they usually just leave that out because it's cheaper, because most people switch out their handguards anyway. That's up to you if that matters to you or not. Your front sight, you can get a pinned-in one, which I strongly recommend, or you can get something that's set in with like Allen keys. I've had these shift on me and break my heart. If this shifts, your rifle is now just a single action. Or not a single action, a single shot. You have to rack the slide every single time. Extremely frustrating. If you can, get one that's pinned in. Now, depending on your build, things can change. You can also get rifles that already have handguards and stuff set up on them. Watch the manufacturer though. Usually when you find rifles like that for a decent price, it's for a reason. Now, weight is a big deal. For this style of rifle, it should weigh less than 7 pounds. You're going to pay a little bit more weight with this because you get more barrel, which is going to increase the power of your round. But this should still be under 8 pounds. Once you get over the 8 pound mark, then you might as well go with the 308. Because you're going to get way more power out of this than you will ever get out of this. More range. It's just a more capable cartridge. And why would you want a rifle that weighs the same as the bigger brother? The whole point is to keep the rifle light, to maximize the amount of firepower with the amount of weight that you have. But those are the pretty much features you're going to be looking for on the shelf to see what it has and what it don't have. As you sacrifice things, it will get cheaper. Like this, all it's sacrificing is a chrome line barrel, and it comes in at an excellent price. Almost half as much as this one. This one just has a chrome line barrel and a carrying handle. Now there are other exceptions out there. Say you're doing a retro build, different styles of receivers. But if you're not doing a retro build, we pretty much phased out everything that doesn't work really well. So you won't really have to worry about the different lower receivers because they were cut differently and a lot of them were fragile. The different upper receivers, if it doesn't have the windage knobs on it. This right here is something you can turn without doing it manually. You're going to want to watch that upper receiver because they were prone to cracking and breaking. That would be like your A1 uppers, your A2 uppers. As soon as they put this on, you pretty much don't have to worry about that. Also, the retro builds, they use different barrel sizes. These are pretty much all the same. The gas blocks will go on them. Now, if you go with like an A1, it's an actual skinnier barrel. And then you're going to have to start dealing with different twist weights too. Different twist rates too. Like a 1 in 14, 1 in 12. Somewhere in there. But for our intents and purposes, if you're a new time AR-15 buyer, this is the style you're going to run into. Myself, if I'm going to buy an AR-15, I'm looking for an M16 bolt carrier, a low shelf receiver. It's got to be a chrome line barrel. Chrome line bolt carrier, 6-position folding stock, and I prefer an A2 upper receiver. I just want all the quality I can because I believe strongly if you have something of quality and you take care of it, it will last a lifetime. And who knows, tomorrow we could have an AR-15 ban and you won't be able to get replacement parts. I'd like to be able to pass that on to my kids someday. But thanks for watching, don't forget to subscribe, leave